All right, and we are live. Welcome, welcome. And thank you everyone who has been subscribing and liking these videos. The reach has been insane. I think the last video got close to 40,000 views in the first month. So, no pressure today. Ashley, I am so beyond excited for today's live because this has come up a couple times. In fact, a good friend of mine, Adele, just reached out and said, "Hey, you cover all of these amazing CEOs and CXOs and people who have sold their company for $1 billion. What about some of us early in career folks and how that blends into hiring managers in leadership, really investing in diverse talent and retaining that diverse talent?" So enter in Ashley. For those who don't know you, first of all, welcome. And for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Sabrina. And I am honored to be part of your live. So excited to be here. Like Sabrina said, my name is Ashley Schrage, and I recently started on at Worldwide Technology. I'm just about 2 years into my career here. And prior to my role at Worldwide, I taught third grade for 8 years. And so through that experience, I did obtain an instructional design degree and a leadership degree. And that helped with the skills and the knowledge that I needed to be effective in my role as a program manager in the sales enablement organization. And a lot of people ask me and say, how did you make this transition from classroom to corporate? And great question. And all teachers and educators out there, feel free to reach out. I'd love to share my journey further. But a lot of it is the hard work, dedication, and it's crazy the skills that transfer from the classroom to the corporate world of America.
It really is. My background was in behavioral analysis and then law and then tech and sales leadership and go to market and enablement. And I remember at the beginning of my career, people were like, you have to pick a lane. And what I love about you is you didn't. And look at you now and the impact that you've made at WWT. You've been there for 2 years now, but the impact is really cool to be a part of. Like outside looking in, I get to see some of the stuff that you guys are doing. And it truly is different. It truly is innovative and it really is showing results. Tell us a little bit about that. Talk about that for a little bit.
Absolutely. So I love telling this story. So week 2, I get hired on. So I just got done teaching 8-year-olds. I left in the middle of the school year. So I was nervous to have done that to my kiddos. So I start in the middle of December at Worldwide. It's January 1st at this time, very new to Worldwide. And my boss says, I want you to write a thesis. And I have never written a thesis before. And at this point, I hated writing, which is a big aspect of my job now. But at the time, writing was not something that was of interest of mine. So my boss said, we want you to research the effects of early graduation at the development program that I was supporting. And immediately I get off this conference call, I call my sister and I start bawling. Just whose idea was it to leave the classroom? So she gave me a pep talk. We came up with a plan. So I went back the next day and I reached out to my manager and I said, hey, who else has programs like we are supporting at Worldwide? And my manager responded with, I have no clue. Here's my contacts in the industry. Reach out to them. Again, not something I had done before, to just call up random people, ask their advice or introduce myself. And so I called my sister for a second time, bawling again. You're never going to believe what he's doing to me now. So she gave me a pep talk. I came back and I Googled how to talk to systems engineers. So that helped. It gave me some pointers, but that experience alone just jump shot my career at Worldwide. And I thank my manager at the time for giving me the opportunity. And he knew that I had the skills and the knowledge before I did.
Yeah.
And so he was tasking me with a project that would give me the space to kind of navigate this new industry myself and to build my confidence. And through that experience, I'm still reaping those benefits. So I reached out to various different contacts of his, and I built those relationships and found out many of the contacts that he set me up with have development programs like ours at Worldwide. And since then, we have created a external advisory board. And so with those different contacts, we meet 4 to 6 weeks as a group. So we have leaders from Cisco and Palo Alto and Juniper and Netscope, and we come together every 4 to 6 weeks and we collaborate on best practices and we just talk. And that was something that we did in education, is we would meet with different teachers from different districts and talk about what's going well and lessons learned. And so I was able to bring that best practice into the technology world. And so that's one of my favorite parts of my job. One, that my manager was able to see what I needed to feel like I was bringing value, and then also to be able to maintain those relationships, and for all of those leaders as well to find value in this group that we've created.
And there's so many key takeaways from that. First of all, for leaders to hear, because I shared my story publicly as well. And it was while I was an attorney, where a sales leader said, "What's it going to take? We need you over here." And then by the end, we had doubled the size of the company. I mean, within a very, very short period of time, because he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And I'm like, I don't know tech. I don't know sales. I don't know any of this stuff. You're out of your mind. To your point, what have I done? But so there's that for the leaders, for those of us who see something in someone else, to speak out, to say something, hey, you've got this. I know you do. And to see that in people. Warren Buffett talks about this a lot. You can hire people for who they are and you can teach them skills later. You can teach them sort of the nuts and bolts, but the core of who the individual is, that's the piece that has to come in as a full package already. So there's that lesson, but then also that you, as an early in career, second career, third career, whatever it is, were willing to put yourself out there. And we've talked about sort of getting comfortable with uncomfortable. I call it fear forward, where I do things on purpose that scare me. But there's something so incredibly powerful about that, where on the back end of the terrifying experience, whatever it might be, or the calls to your sister, you realize something about yourself that empowers not just you, but you were able to empower some of the largest organizations in the world. And they're still meeting and they're still sharing best practices. I had an amazing opportunity to be on one of those calls. It was so cool to hear what they're doing differently and what's not working and how they're pulling in different parts of the world to enable people differently. So not only were you able to add value to your organization, which a lot of people don't realize they can when they're early in career, but also value to people who are new to you, to a new network. And a lot of times we feel like we're sucking from other people, and you were able to immediately give back in a way that they still want to get on those calls. They still want to be part of your advisory board. That says a lot. And it's kind of all compact in one awesome story that shows there is a lot of value when you're willing to jump outside yourself and try things that were maybe a little scary. Is that fair to say?
I mean, all of that. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think one of the mottos that I live by is, oh shit, now I'm blanking on the motto. Fake it till you make it.
There
So
you go.
I live by that. Just fake whatever it is until you make it. And so if you have to give yourself a pep talk before every presentation, give yourself a pep talk before every presentation. And I think a big one is getting the right people to support you.
Yes.
So I have specific people who, if I'm nervous about something, I set up a call beforehand and say, okay, this is what I'm doing. What do I need to do? And they give me the encouragement and the motivation I need to keep me moving forward. And I have also had the best managers at Worldwide to continue developing me and having these conversations all the time about where I'm going next, and just keep pushing me and leading me into the right direction. So having that team to back you up is so powerful.
It's so true. And I know I talk about culture all the time. And I keep saying this is not a nice to have. This is how you retain top talent. This is how you stretch teams to think bigger and different than they ever have before. This is how you do it. through things like culture, not micromanaging. I think sometimes people think you have to micromanage this. You can set difficult expectations for your team and empower them to be able to do it, and create a space where they can come back to you and say, hey, I still don't know what I'm doing. Did I hit the mark? Am I close? Am I not? And it's a balance. It's as much of an art as it is a science. But you hit on something else that I talk about with leaders all the time, especially behind closed doors. It's, I would say, pretty often where they feel uncomfortable talking about it on a live or in a public setting. But we all have it at any level, is imposter syndrome. And you talked about something in such a free and vulnerable way that it's so encouraging, because we all have imposter syndrome. And it occurs at any age, at any gender, at any level. It's just a thing. So kind of fake it till you make it. What else do you do to overcome that, or to recognize it and go, okay, this is the space I'm in? Do you have any kind of words of wisdom there for us?
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said everyone has this. And I think one thing I've learned too is it comes at weird times. So
Mm,
definitely, changing from the classroom to corporate, I was having it, talking to systems engineers and not even be able to follow a conversation was like, what am I doing here? I can't do this.
yeah.
But having the mentors and your managers and the support system is huge to say, these are your skills. This is what you bring to the table. These are your goals, and helping prescribe that transfer of skills and those transfer of knowledge is extremely important. But then also remembering that everyone else has it too. Everyone is overcoming this, even if they've been in the industry forever. If you've had somebody who has been in technology for 30 years, they're feeling the same way because technology is way different now than it was 30 years.
Right.
And especially at Worldwide, this culture of continually improving. And we always, almost in every meeting a day, someone will say, well, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up yet. So everyone's still trying to navigate this terrain of, what do I want to do and what motivates me and how can I make an impact?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's going through it. And so I think the biggest piece of advice that I have is make sure you have that support system, but then also write down your goals. And when you write down your goals and you make steps and smaller milestones to achieve those goals, you can look back and say, this is where I was a couple months ago, and these are all of the things that I've done. So being able to write your goals down and then reflect on them later is so beneficial, because you can see the progress that you've made instead of just creating a goal, working towards it, creating the next one. You kind of forget all of the things that you've achieved. So writing it down, writing smaller milestones and steps to get to that overarching goal. And then don't forget to look back and say, these are all of the things that I've done. And I might not be there yet, but these are the goals and the steps I'm going to take to continue working and achieving that goal.
You're an educator at heart. I mean, it's just awesome. It's the best. This is how our brain learns, through this process of chunking, of taking a big thing and learning it in little pieces. And if you can chunk it onto something you already know, or a success, you learn faster. And I mean, just to kind of go to the neuroscience of what you're saying, because there's real science that backs up exactly what you said, is when you go back and say, hey, here are all the things I do or I've done, you're now positively reinforcing those neurosynapses that have been created by that new behavior. And it's those little steps that create these, like, literally physical highways in your brain that go, oh, I do know what to do. I'll do it this way. I'll do it that way. And you're physically creating more space for yourself to learn, and new connections for yourself to make. So that's so powerful. And I found for myself, when I go through kind of imposter syndrome, or what I tend to do is I'll overthink something. What I have found is I've created a new rule for myself. It's my job to show up as my best, most authentic self. It's their job to figure out what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So did I show up as my best self? Did I prepare? Did I get enough sleep? Did I reach out to my mentors or my sponsors? Did I get the right research together? If yes, great. Did I show up as my most authentic self? Because sometimes I forget things, and sometimes I'm nervous, and sometimes I talk fast, but that's still my authentic self. I'm not a robot. I'm just a human. That's how I am. If those two questions are a yes, then it's their job. I've done my job. It's their job to figure out what to do with it. And what's interesting about that is I found that you then naturally have this filtration system of the people who you want in your life are naturally attracted to you.
Mhm.
And the people who you don't actually want in your life are kind of repelled by your authentic self. And you're like, thanks for doing the hard work. This is great. For so long, I thought I had to make everyone happy. And it was the like most advantageous thing I could have done for them and for me. And that's when I noticed imposter syndrome kind of eases up a little bit more, because now all of a sudden you're surrounded by these people, like you mentioned, who are supporting you, who are helping you grow, and you're helping them grow. So I want to touch, I know we have 5 minutes. They're always so short. It goes so fast. And Ashley, you're a wonderful human. And I love how authentic you come off and how honest and open you are. We need this. People need this. So thank you. But I want to talk about sort of your network, how you do create that support system and how you do invest in yourself, because there is a personal growth. And when you write down the steps, it's like, what am I going to work on? Well, you got your certification in instructional design. There are things that we can do ourselves. And then there's a network that we should create of mentors and sponsors and things like that. Talk to us a little bit about how you're doing that, what you've seen work or not work in the past. Because I think for the most part, those are some of the two biggest things that come up that are difficult, particularly early in career, but I think kind of always. Any thoughts or guidance there?
Absolutely. So a couple of different thoughts. When I came to Worldwide, that was the number one thing that my manager and support system said to do is grow your network. And like you just said, I was like, you want me to what? Grow? What does that mean? Like, I know a lot of teachers, like who am I supposed to, reach out to? And the weird part is you can reach out to people, but then how do you authentically build a relationship where you are both, it's a give and take. So how do you build that relationship, not make it awkward? So somebody gave me this advice, and it's called 10 plus. And so you want to start building a relationship with 10 people who make sense in your goals and your industry and your business. So I have 10 people who I reach out to other than who I work with on a day-to-day. And so these 10 people, some of them are at Worldwide. Some of them are still educational professionals, just to keep me relevant in educational best practices. Some people, it started on LinkedIn, and I realized that I liked their career development and their career path, and we had similar interests. So with that being said, you do have to be open to reaching out to people on LinkedIn, and only about 10% of them replying back to you. So you can't get your feelings hurt when you don't get a response, but I mean, you're building your confidence by just reaching out alone.
Yeah.
So you build these 10 people, and then once you've established a relationship with them and they're reaching out to you just as much as you're reaching out to them, you have these 10 people. You might start in your business. It's a lot easier to reach out to people within your organization because they're going to talk, back to you, and it's easier to make a connection. Like, how did you get here?
Right.
What is your background? What do you do at Worldwide? And it's kind of your excuse to learn where you work. But then once you've done that, you're going to build your confidence. You're going to work on those soft skills and how to maintain a conversation. And you can take that then and start reaching out to people in your industry. Mm-hmm. And from there, that's when your 10 plus comes. So now I've been able to reach out to these people who I've seen at conferences. And I see a post on LinkedIn that I find extremely intriguing and say, I want to meet them. Or in different conferences that your company has. So me and your relationship, for example, met at a company sponsored event. And since then, we've been able to grow our relationship. That might not have happened for me a year ago. I probably wouldn't have capitalized on the opportunity, but through my 10 of Worldwide employees that I reached out to, I had the confidence, I had the skills to continue building other relationships.
For me, I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. And for me, I am just a friend just asked me the other day, I think some of you know, one of my fear forwards was signing up for stand-up comedy. Turns out I'm not funny at all. It was awful. It was so but I knew it was. It's part of what's so scary about it is you bomb at first. You have to bomb at first. And so that's why I signed up, and, I did my show at Second City, and got some laughs, whatever. It was fine. And a friend of mine said, okay, what was your favorite part? And for me, it was the community. It was the connections. I would say about 2/3 of the class and I are going to take stand up 2 together. And we had such a good time. Same with my job. One of my favorite things about Continuum and the job that I get to do every day is I get to pick the people I work with. It's awesome. Now, I am fully aware that that is a massive privilege and not everyone has that. I am very, very well aware of it. But the cool thing is, I know what's important to me is those connections. So the reason why you and I connected is I felt you were instantly authentic. I instantly knew you don't have to know all the answers, but I instantly could kind of see through to your heart like, oh, this is a really good person who's really smart and wants the best for other people. So I tend to look for things that are important to me, people who value connections, people who have the same, definitely not the same beliefs. I love a good debate. If anyone who knows me knows that I like to take the opposite side just to kind of explore my thinking. I love to challenge myself. I was kind of born to stretch, but somebody who I think values the same thing, and you value knowledge, you value relationships, and you are so authentically yourself in such an upbeat way that it instantly attracted me to you. And I think when I'm looking for people that I want as my sort of 10 plus, I'm looking for people like that who want to grow with me, who I can add value to, who, like you said, I really admire. Maybe they take some really daring steps or do something really cool, like write a piece or have some contrary views on technology or where the world's going. Those tend to be the people I look for. And you're right. You do have to get kind of comfortable with being uncomfortable. But those are where some of the best connections that I have in my life are stem from, is from just either them reaching out to me or me reaching out to them and saying, I know this is crazy, but how about we talk,
It is. It is so empowering too.
Yeah.
To take the next step and say, oh, I want to reach out to you, have questions, but then from there, taking it and building a relationship. And it doesn't happen with everybody. Sometimes, you can reach out to someone, you have a great conversation and you just weren't a match and you move on. But being able to take that next step is very empowering. And it is crazy how it goes full circle.
Yeah.
So see somebody, and then a lot of times they're going to come back into your life and it's going to be that it's just a connection. It's been very, very cool to see.
Yeah. I'm so excited to think that this is just the beginning of this part of your life is so wild and exciting for me. And I know it just got crazy dark. We're in the middle of a storm. So apparently all the sun is gone. But anyway, it's like, oh, it's really dark. But I think I'm so excited to see where you go, what you do next, and kind of the people that you influence, because you have such a unique approach. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to do the live with you is I wanted people to see the true value of hiring outside of maybe what the resume might say. I know that's something that is starting to be looked at, but we can be fairly conventional, kind of thinking and kind of, well, no, they don't have a CCIE or they don't have a this. And I think that's something that's very powerful about your story. And I've seen the benefit of it. So I'm so glad that you're willing to share this. For people who maybe don't know how to find you or have some questions for you, where can they reach out to you? Are you on LinkedIn?
I am active on LinkedIn, so you can look me up, Ashley Schrage on LinkedIn, and I will respond to everybody. I know how it feels whenever you're not responded to and they've seen it. I will respond, I promise.
I do get a lot of solicitation, very random things like, hey, I'd like to, have you hired 10 engineers? Or I get all kinds of solicitations. So I also try to respond to literally everyone. But sometimes it takes me a little bit longer because I probably get maybe 10 solicitations a day.
I hear you. It's a thank you, but no thank you response.
Yeah. I'm happy to help cross promote. I'm always happy to, people tag me and stuff. You're always welcome to tag me in a subtle brag or anything. But Ashley, thank you so much. This has been so much fun. And I'm sure just the beginning of a wildly successful career. So good things ahead.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
See you soon. Bye.